What's up, everybody? You are listening to Locked On Now NHL, local experts with the biggest stories on the ice. I'm your host, Daniela Bruce, and thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. We've got our NHL hosts here to tell you everything you need to know from the night in hockey. We'll start with the Florida Panthers, who took home the President's Trophy after last night's biggest game.
The biggest game.
The Panthers have clinched the President's Trophy after shutting out the Ottawa Senators on Thursday. Locked On Panthers goes over the game and the best regular season in all of hockey.
It was a night to remember for these Florida Panthers as the Cats took an opportunity to rest a whole bunch of players and bring in some young guys into the mix. What is up, guys? This is Armando Velez from the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, and the Florida Panthers defeat the Ottawa Senators by a final score of 4-0, also giving Spencer Knight his second career shutout, saving all 27 of the shots he made. Carter Verhaeghe was great in this one, getting 2 goals in this one. Sam Bennett creating some steals and getting a goal in this one. Sam Reinhart continuing his play. And also Lucas Carlson creating a steal in the Senators zone in order to create an opportunity at the net. Maxim Mammon, many opportunities as well. But the main story of this is with the Nashville Predators defeating the Colorado Avalanche in a shootout. The Florida Panthers have now clinched the President's Trophy for the first time in their almost 30-year history of the franchise. So even though the winner of the President's Trophy has not won the Stanley Cup since the 2013 Chicago Blackhawks, this Florida Panthers team, it doesn't matter for them. It matters that they get on the ice and play the game that they are best suited to play. And this is the best offensive team in the last 25 years in the NHL. So there's no reason to believe that regardless of whether they win the President's Trophy or not, it's a bonus, but that this team feels that they are capable of going all the way and lifting Lord Stanley's Cup. So listen to my recap of this 4-0 win over the Ottawa Senators and the Florida Panthers clinching the President's Trophy. Make sure to join me and Nick Fairbanks as we reacted live to the Florida Panthers clinching the President's Trophy.
Everyone got in on the scoring last night for Carolina as the Hurricanes doubled up the Devils. Locked On Hurricanes reviews a successful night for Carolina.
Hey there, hockey fans. Jared Ellis here, host of Locked On Hurricanes. And tonight was a big night for the Hurricanes. In their regular season finale, they beat the New Jersey Devils 6-3 in utterly dominant fashion. With all 6 goals, the Hurricanes had 6 different goal scorers. Heading into this game, I was a little unsure of what we'd see from the Hurricanes, given we had some guys sitting for maintenance heading into the playoffs, but it made no difference at all. The Hurricanes began the season with a 6-3 win over the Islanders, and they're ending it with a 6-3 win over the Devils. And with tonight's win, the Hurricanes goaltenders Antti Raanta and Frederik Andersen have secured themselves the William Jennings Trophy. So congratulations to them, and congratulations to the Hurricanes on setting so many franchise records this season. And now it's on to the playoffs.
The Devils just didn't have it against the Hurricanes last night, and Locked On Devils dives into the details after New Jersey couldn't keep up.
What's up? This is Trey Matthews of Locked On Devils, and here is my post-game reaction. So, the New Jersey Devils lost to the Carolina Hurricanes by a score of 6-3. Nico Hischier was ruled out of this game, so was Thomas Tatar, so the Devils were put behind the 8 ball before the puck even dropped. They really had no chance this game, and the Carolina Hurricanes went off and running in period number 3, jumping out to a 3-0 lead. On the bright side, Alexander Holtz was brought up prior to the game to try to get him some NHL reps before the season ends. Zetterlund was able to get a goal. Jesper Bratt was able to goal, so now he ties Jack Hughes for most goals on the team. He's looking to lead the Devils in goals, assists, and points come the end of the season, but he only has one more game to do so. So overall, I'm trying to look at some of the positive aspects here, but unfortunately, not too many positive aspects to take away from this game. Devils just completely botched in this one. Not entirely their fault, considering the fact that they were behind the 8 ball early, like I mentioned, but ultimately, Andrew Hammond was terrible this game. Lindy Ruff, I don't know what to think of him, but for right now, all I can say is thank the Lord our last game is tomorrow. But hopefully we can come out with a win to finish out the season. It's been atrocious and it's been a nightmare.
The Predators forced overtime and eventually beat the Avalanche in Colorado in a shootout. Our Locked On Predators host was happy with the fight Nashville showed in the comeback win.
After a rough first period and going down 3-1, the Nashville Predators were able to battle back and defeat the Colorado Avalanche in a shootout. Hi, everyone. I'm Ann Kimmel from Locked On Predators. With no UC Saros available to go tonight in net for the team, David Rittich stepped up, took his place between the pipes. Now, this was a big ask from Rittich. He had a rough game against the Calgary Flames when he stepped in for the injured Saros. So this was a chance to build some confidence. That didn't happen in the first period. The Predators went down 3-1 and quite frankly were outmatched in every area of the game in the first 20 minutes. They were able to regroup in the second period, close the gap to 1 goal, tie it up in the third period, and take this game into overtime. David Rittich stood strong in net during overtime and then did not allow a shot in goal during the shootout. Matt Duchene got the game-winning goal for the Nashville Predators, and they are able to leave Denver with 2 huge points. This game was also interesting because it saw 2 Norris Trophy frontrunners facing off. Cale Makar and Roman Josi each had a goal in the game, but I'm not sure either one did anything so remarkable as to sway voters. Now, the Predators head tomorrow to Arizona, where they will control their own playoff destiny with a win. We'll see what happens. We'll see who's in net. But tonight, a great game for David Rittich.
The Avalanche really needs to figure out what's going wrong with their team before the playoffs start next week. Colorado has lost 5 of the last 6, and Locked On Avalanche tries to figure out why.
The Colorado Avalanche lose their final game at home of the season in a shootout to the Nashville Predators, 5-4. Things started looking good for the Avalanche in the beginning of the game. Couldn't start it any better, really. A 4-1 lead that slipped away. Game goes into overtime. A couple chances here and there for both teams. Goes to a shootout. 1 goal is let in the shootout, and that's all she wrote for the Avalanche. They get the 1 point, so they set the franchise record in points for a season, but overall didn't really mean much to them. The game had more of a meaning for the Predators, but it was still a very entertaining game and a very physical game. Neither team backed down in this one, especially the Avalanche.
Yeah, and especially as an Avalanche fan sitting there watching the game and Cale Makar opens up the game with a score, like you feel really good about the Avalanche through that game. And then you slowly watch them let that lead dissipate. And the shootout loss, which is the worst way to lose. Like, it's bittersweet. Franchise record, but a loss at the garbage time of the season.
Yeah, there's one more game to go, and that is Friday night for the Avalanche in Minnesota. We've already got word that Cale Makar will not play, so his season is wrapped up. Norris Trophy on the horizon. We'll see. But either way, a fantastic season for him. And 1 more game to go. And then the second season begins for the Avalanche. And that's where they need to get back to kicking it into high gear.
Coming up, the Sharks blow their lead against the Oilers and the Islanders beat the Capitals again. This is Locked On Now NHL. BetOnline.net is your #1 source for all of your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome back to Locked On Now NHL. Thanks for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. Our local experts have all of the info you need from last night around the league in hockey.
Let's go around the league.
The Sharks led throughout against the Oilers on Thursday, but Edmonton had a response for everything San Jose threw at them and won in the end. Locked On Oilers and Sharks recapped the gritty victory.
Hi, I'm Brett Holden from Locked On Oilers, and the Oilers and Sharks game last night didn't exactly get off to a hot start for the Edmonton Oilers. 2 goals from Edmonton area native Noah Gregor for the San Jose Sharks, but the Oilers did end up eradicating not 1, not 2, but 3 leads from the San Jose Sharks. The third time that they did it was from Philip Broberg's first NHL goal, which ended up taking them into overtime, where Zach Hyman won it for the Oilers there. Also scoring for the Oilers last night was Derek Ryan, where he scored his 10th of the season. With that goal, there are 10 Oilers with at least 10 or more goals, or double digits if you want to make it easier for the Oilers this season. Plus, Kyler Yamamoto scored his 20th, and he is not only the one of 4, 3, or 2 Oilers, he's one of 5 Oilers that have at least 20 goals this season. The last time the Oilers had done that, let me check my notes, were 2016-17? I know. And I'm sorry, Oilers fans, but those 5 Oilers who had 20 or more goals that season, obviously Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but if you want to close your ears, or if you're really sensitive to former Oilers, here are the other 3 names. Pat Maroon, oh, I'm sorry. Milan Lucic, ooh, I'm even more sorry, but this one's a little bit better. Jordan Eberle also in that list as well. Also with a goal tonight, or last night I should say, Ryan McLeod with his 9th of the season. Yes, you can almost call it McLeod 9. The Oilers have their final game against the Vancouver Canucks on Friday night. They will wrap up their season before heading into the playoffs for their first playoff series against the LA Kings since 1992.
The Sharks unable to hold a lead. I'm JD Young of Locked On Sharks, and the Sharks fall 5-4 to the Edmonton Oilers, where the Oilers, they come storming back in the third period, tied the game up, kind of back and forth with teams trading leads, trading goals. But then in overtime, the Oilers, they scored the game winner. But this was a game where the young players of the Sharks really stepped forward. Noah Gregor had 2 goals tonight. That the Bordelot Gregor Balcers line looked great. But again, just the Sharks, they, young guys learning how to win games, and they just weren't able to win tonight. So we'll have more of tonight's game. And of course, have your 3 fries of the week on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Sharks, wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, subscribe to us on YouTube as well.
The Minnesota Wild still have hopes for the number 2 seed in the West, and the race is as tight as ever with only the weekend left in the regular season. Locked On Wild reviews a solid win over the Flames in overtime.
And suddenly the race for the 2 seed in the Western Conference comes down to 1 point. Hey everybody, Seth Topol, host of Locked On Wild, your daily Minnesota Wild podcast, recapping a 3-2 overtime win for the Minnesota Wild against the Calgary Flames. Wild looked great in this game, bouncing back from an ugly performance against the Arizona Coyotes. And we got a lot of answers to a lot of questions that we had heading into this game. The Wild's special teams ended up being the difference in this one, with 2 power play goals and a penalty kill that kept the Calgary power play off the scoreboard. And for the Wilds, they get goals from Jonas Brodin, Freddie Gaudreau, and Kirill Kaprizov in OT, his 46th, to pick up the win for the Wild. They're 52nd on the season, and now the Wilds need just 1 point to clinch the 2 seed in the Western Conference playoffs against the Colorado Avalanche tonight if the St. Louis Blues win tomorrow night. If the Blues do not win tomorrow night against the Vegas Golden Knights, the Wild punch their ticket regardless and host the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So a lot still on the line for the Minnesota Wild when they host the Avs tomorrow night. Regardless, playoff hockey hits different, and it certainly had a playoff feel here tonight against the Flames. For more on the Minnesota Wild, make sure you're listening to Locked On Wild wherever you listen to podcasts.
The Islanders have 2 straight wins over the Capitals after winning yesterday, both in convincing fashion. Locked On Islanders has the reason why New York has played so well against Washington.
Gil Martin of Locked On Islanders here. Islanders down the Washington Capitals 5-1. Solid effort by Semyon Varlamov in goal. Unfortunately, he loses the shutout late in the game. Islanders just play their style of hockey. Congratulations to Kyle Palmieri on his 200th goal. But even without Pelech and Pulak for most of the game, the Islanders do a good job of limiting the number of chances the Capitals could get and sort of preventing them from manipulating or moving with speed through the neutral zone. Again, the Islanders playing their style of hockey, and it pays off with another win. For more, listen to the Locked On Islanders podcast with me, Gil Martin, wherever you get podcasts.
That's all for today's Locked On Now NHL. Thank you again for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. Now that you're done here, make sure your second listens are Locked On Now NHL and, of course, your team's local Locked On podcast. I'm Daniela Bruce, and this has been Locked On Now.